Hello and welcome. This is The Truth About News. I'm your host, Keith Lander, coming to you from Dayton, Ohio, the Gem City. And if you haven't been to Dayton lately, come by and check us out. You'll be surprised. We got a lot of stuff going on here in Dayton, Ohio. It's political season. It's always political season, but it's time to go vote again. Most people have primaries coming up in May. Here in Ohio, we got primaries coming up in May, and then we'll have voting on November. But we have to be very careful about who we elect into these positions, whether it be state, whether it be federal, whether it be local. We got to make sure these people are going to do the bidding of the constituents and not idolize one individual. All right. Having said that, I'm going to focus in on three individuals here in the state of Ohio, three representatives, John Husted, Bernie Reno, and Mike Turner. All right. These are the folks who are in Washington. These are the folks passing these bills that have a negative impact on us. And I'll give you a good example. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. How have John Husted, Bernie Reno, and Mike Turner, how have they helped lower grocery prices? How have they helped lower your electric bill, which is exploding? How have they helped bring down the cost of gas? How have they helped bring down the cost of your health insurance? So if these people we sent to Washington, especially Mike Turner, who's been there over 20-something years, all right, been in Washington 20-something years, they haven't helped the average American in no way, shape, or form. Now, you may disagree with me, but you see the effects right now, all right? The only thing these men has done, especially Bernie Reno, because he's Johnny come lately, and John Husted and Mike Turner, the only thing they did is to kiss Donald Trump's behind. Now, kissing Donald Trump's behind won't help the average Ohioan. Damn sure it ain't gonna help the average Ohioan. You can kiss Donald Trump's ass from morning, noon, and night, right? So it's not gonna help none of us. And it ain't helped them, really, if you want to know about it. So let's get into it, folks. I'm going to prove it. But I just don't say it, I prove it. And you can argue with the facts all you want to, you'll be a fool. So here it is. All three of these individuals voted for that big, beautiful bill. Y'all remember that big, beautiful bill that Donald Trump and all the Republican Party was like, hey, yeah, we're going to do all this here. Here's what that bill will do. And this is not coming from me. This is coming from the Congressional Budget Office. This is what they say this bill will eliminate. It'll eliminate 15 million people or more to lose health care coverage. As a result, the bill cuts $716 billion to Medicaid and the provisions of the Affordable Care Act. The bill will also cut the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is known as SNAP. The bill cuts that to a tune of $300 billion. That bill feeds 42 million people each year in the United States. So Marino, Trump, Turner, and Husted, they're cutting necessary programs for the poor. How's that helpful? You're not going to balance any budget, and they ain't even talking about balancing the budget no more. They done run the budget, national budget up so far, they don't even want to talk about it no more. Used to be the Republican Party. The budget hawks, the national budget. Look at all the debt we're in. They ain't said a word about the debt. All right? They ain't said a word because they don't care. The only thing they care about is kissing Donald Trump's behind. Right? So, let me move on, folks. Not only that, see, y'all people don't understand. Well, you say Medicaid. Let me tell you what Medicaid is. Medicaid is a joint federal program that's in the U.S. that provides free or low-cost health coverage to millions of Americans who are on limited income and resources, including children, pregnant women, elderly adults, and people with disability. These are the people that this bill affects. And this bill that Turner and them voted in favor of, they voted in favor having a negative impact on the least economically challenged people that this bill serves. So next time you see Turner, next time you see Marino, next time you see Husted, ask them why are they signing bills or voting yes on bills that have a negative impact on the elderly, on the disabled, on the poor? Don't make any sense, do you? And I remember Mike Turner when he was the mayor of the city of Dayton. He had some sense at one time. He had some sense when he was the mayor of the city of Dayton. He did some good things around here in Dayton. He went to Washington and he lost his damn mind. His mind must have went into Donald Trump's behind, and he's been kissing it ever since, trying to get it out, and he can't get it out. so I'm gonna move on, folks. Not only that, also, now what this bill also does, and this is from research. Research shows that this bill, the top 10% of people will gain, and the bottom 10% of folks who make less money will see their taxes increase by 20%. See? So here's another bill that Mike Turner and Marino and Houston voted down. George Floyd Policing Act. You remember the George Floyd Policing Act? You know what the George Floyd Policing Act would have done? George Floyd Policing Act would have lowered the criminal intent standard from willful to knowledge or reckless to convict a law enforcement officer from misconduct in a federal prosecution. It also would have limited qualified immunity. Okay? And so it also would establish a framework to prevent and remedy racial profiling by law enforcement officers at the federal, state, and local levels. And it also would have created a national police misconduct registry. Mike Turner, John Houston, and Bernie Marino all voted it down. Does that make any sense to you? Don't make any sense to me if you want to hold people accountable, including police officers, right? But then again, Donald Trump, pardon all those folks who went up there in January 6th and beat up the police, injured some of them, and tried to kill the rest of them, tried to kill the vice president, but he pardoned them all, so they don't give a damn about the police either. Huh? Come on, y'all. So, let me keep going. Now, what the Supreme Court has just done, the Supreme Court has gutted the 1965 Voting Rights Act, where states could not be discriminatory in the voting as far as redistricting, right? The Supreme Court just handed out the sentence and said, yeah, vote, and said, yeah, they can do whatever they want to do. So they can discriminate against black folks. So these states that was discriminating against black folks and minority folks down in southern states, they couldn't change their voting policies unless they had to get permission from the federal government. Now the Supreme Court has allowed them to do whatever you want to do, redistrict the maps, do whatever you want to do, and hell, have a test. You can ask black folks how many bubbles in a bar of soap, and if they can't answer it, they ain't vote. So, but here's what we got to do, folks. We have to vote in record numbers to combat this foolishness from the Supreme Court, from Donald Trump, and from the rest of these Republicans. I said it once, I'll say it again. These Republicans can stop Donald Trump overnight, but they choose not to because they're so greedy with power and money they get from being in that position. They would rather kiss Donald Trump's ass and tell the rest of y'all to go to hell, because that's exactly what they're doing. All right. And then Mike Turner, let me tell you what he did. He voted against the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. All right. That would have restored parts of that civil rights legislation from 1965. That would have restored those parts. He voted against it. And then he turned around. See, here's what he did. He turns around and he want to co-sponsor a Voting Rights Amendment Act back in 2014. So you can't have it both ways, Mike Turner. You're either going to support Voting Rights Act when a bill come up, or you're not. Right? And then he goes on to say, this is Mike Turner. He says, hang on, let me get the, oh, here it is. Here's the exact quote. Turner previously expressed respect for John Lewis, calling him a civil rights icon and a friend. He also co-authored a letter in 2020 calling on the Senate to pass a previous version of the voting rights. You know what the Senate did with that letter? They blew their nose with it, or either wiped their behind and threw that thing in the trash. Right? That letter ain't going nowhere. See, this is what some of these politicians do, including Mike Turner. He votes no on a piece of legislation that would have just did what his letter would have done, but he voted no on it. And then he turns around and he goes to the civil rights organization and say, look, I support these voting rights. I wrote this letter, to the Senate telling them to pass it. But then you voted against the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And so some of these civil rights organizations, including the NAACP, I'm going to call them out, including the NAACP, they chummy up to this man, falling for the okie doke that he's fighting for voting rights and he's voting against voting rights. NAACP, you have to be smarter than that. You have to be smarter than fall for this con, and you have to tell this man, don't come in here with this jive, you know what I mean? With this shucking and jiving, thinking we're going to fall for it. What you should have said, you should have held a press conference and called Mike Turner to task for voting against the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. That's what you should have did. But some of y'all so damn coward, y'all would rather kiss up with the devil than to tell the devil to get the hell on down the road. It makes me mad when this stuff comes around. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump in 2010, he also voted against the Affordable Care Act. Mike Turner and Bernie Moreno, John Husted voted against the Affordable Care Act. I don't even know if Bernie Moreno was in office, but anyway, he probably would have voted against it anyway because he voted with Donald Trump 95%, 100% of the time. But so not only that, in 2010, he voted against the Affordable Care Act. Also, he voted to repeal the Affordable Care Act in 2015. So Mike Turner voted twice to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. That's why your health insurance went sky high, because the Republicans took away the subsidies and drove everybody's insurance through the roof, just like Donald Trump drove everybody's gas prices through the roof for messing around with Iran. Right? So come on, folks. When you go to the polls, and I'm going to tell you churches something, especially you preachers. I'm talking to you preachers for a minute. When these politicians who haven't been in your church all year long, and then all of a sudden they up for re-election, and they come knocking on your door talking about, can I talk to your congregation? You tell them, no, man, get your behind on down the street. You ain't been here in a year or 2 or 3, right? So if you don't have the common courtesy to come here and talk to us when you ain't running for re-election, we ain't talking to you when you're running. Because you don't mean us no good. You forget us when you get in office. And then when it's time to try to get back in office, you want to remember us and come down there with this shucking and jiving stuff again, trying to get back in office. Come on, preachers. You got to be smarter than that. Come on now. You got to be smarter than that, preacher. You tell that politician, you get on. All right? And I give you a good example of one of the best politicians we got here locally, statewide, is Willis Blackshear. Willis Blackshear is doing the damn thing. Right? Willis Blackshear, he shows up, he shows out, he put pieces of state legislation in place to try to help the constituents. He goes around to these organizations, to churches, and he tells what he's doing at the state house. These are the kind of politicians we need and elect and send to higher office. Now check Willis Blackshear Jr.'s record out. The man's doing some things. And lastly, I'll leave you with this. Mike Turner has voted with President Donald Trump's agenda 95% of the time during his term. Now, whose side Mike Turner's on? Whose side Bernie Moreno's on? Whose side John Husted on? They're on the side of Donald Trump. They're not on the side of the constituents, because all the stuff I just went through, it hurts the constituents and it pleases Donald Trump. So Donald Trump has become their God. See, so he's their God, and they worship Donald Trump, and they say the hell with the rest of y'all. That's the bottom line, folks. See, we don't over intellectual things here in on this show. We say it like it is, right? We put it, as Joe Madison used to say, we put it where the goats can get it. All right. And I'm pretty sure the goats got some of this here. I'm pretty sure. Right. So it's time to stop playing, folks. Y'all know Donald Trump is a disaster. You know the Republican Party is a disaster and a bunch of cowards. And you know Mike Turner is a disaster. You know Bernie Moreno is a disaster. And you know John Husted is a disaster. Right? Because they ain't made your life no better. Your life has become worse. And if you had any guts, you'll admit it, and you know it's worse. Now, all y'all who voted for Donald Trump, you got conned. That's all. Y'all just got conned. I mean, anybody get conned by a con man. But the thing about it is, once you get conned, you don't continue to support the con man. Huh? How foolish can you be? All right? So, we're sending folks to the poll. Make sure you got all your voting stuff in line. Make sure you know where your poll is. Make sure you're on the books. Make sure you get there. Primaries in May here in the state of Ohio. And make sure you get there in November and vote. And vote for the people who's going to do something to make your life better and to help you out instead of kissing Donald Trump's behind. All right? So keep that in mind. And matter of fact, show this to these 3 people I talked about. Show it to them. Show it. Show it. And I hope they come. I hope they want to sue me. Tell them to sue me if I got anything wrong. Sue me if I got anything wrong. And I'll encourage y'all to sue me. John Houston, Bernie Marino, and especially Mike Turner with his sorry behind. But look here, before I get thrown off YouTube, I'm going to close this show. May God bless you and your family.